Welcome back to the permission statement. Hajime, thank you for those of you who are coming back. The new subscribers, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share this chronology with you. I declare under penalty of perjury that what I say here is the truth. Now, I'm going to jump back over to what happened at Angelica's and Tim's house. We'll jump back to Carlos and Youth Authority later on today. I'm going on location. We're going to go to Juvenile Hall, where that journey to California Youth Authority began for me, and how that ended, and who I met along that journey that's relative to what happened with Carlos and that funeral, with the grandmother falling over almost into the dang hole with the square as they were lowering Carlos's body down to the ground. And for me, like I said, that was a breaking point that gave me, or I gave myself permission to take up on behalf of other people. So, and where that really culminated was with Angelica and with Lucky, because a lot of things happened. And as I said, I'm an infantryman, and so when all that took place, when that first incident happened, the dudes kicked in the door and they punched Lucky in the eye, and his mom grabbed the Makarov and was chasing these gangsters around the yard. And I show up, just happened to be rolling by to say, "Hey, how you doing?" to my buddy. And a lot of stuff had happened before that, and something needed to be done. And with everything that had happened in life, and when I came back from Texas, what I had learned, it was just like, oh man, what do you do? And so that was just like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And so the things that happened before that day, that moment in time there, and then I stepped in and decided, okay, I'm going to do something. So we got an apartment up the cemetery, had Overwatch, a hide. There was a hide up on top of there that had the proper angle to that front of that property. So anybody came in there, the hide could see them. And I stayed in where that incident happened. I would sleep on that floor, prepared to defend if anybody came inside of there. And it didn't stop there. So I deployed with other people, and we would go and we had discussions with people, be like, hey man, this got to stop. These people didn't do anything. Things are being said. There are people being brought into this mix. They've already been through enough stuff. And it's like, I can't let that happen. And that's when I was told, like, hey, are you sure you want to get involved in this? You sure you understand what that means? And I made that decision. And that decision resonates to this day, because we don't get along still as a result of what happened there. But ironically, all the other people involved, the ones that got shit on, they're all buddy-buddy with the people that caused the incident that got them to be shit on to begin with. So it's bizarre, but hey, get it how you live. So I started staying there. I had the hide up there on top of there that overwatched the objective. And the one day I left to go do something, I might have gone to Northern California and then came back. There was an incident that took place. There was a dude named Bob that lived at the end of the street. Bob was an older white guy, cool guy. He had an addiction problem. He had a gambling problem. So these young knuckleheads would rent out rooms to them, from what I gather, so that it would help him pay his rent and everything. It facilitated his addiction and, back and forth to the casino and what have you. And at the very same house where the dudes came and kicked in the door and everything, one of the youngsters that lived at that house came over early in the morning, was banging on Lucky's and Angelica's door, and kept saying, like, hey, I need you to open the door. And they knew him, so they gave enough trust to open the door. And once they opened that door, all these dudes came up in the house with guns and everything, right? And laid them down, took everything they had. So that dude goes back to his place. Those dudes take off. So when I get back, I make the conscious decision. Met myself and another dude. We put our little plan together, and we go over to to that house down the street. When I say down the street, it's like maybe 3 houses down. I mean, that's how close it was. And that house and everything was within the hides, but nobody was there because, like I said, we had to deploy to Northern California because there was stuff going on up there. Other people were being done wrong and harmed, and people were trying to lean in on them, and we came to stop all that stuff. And I know all this sounds hyperbolic and crazy to people, but I declare under penalty of perjury that what I'm saying is the truth. And that's the infantryman. That's the child that was harmed that seeks to protect other people. And unfortunately, you'll catapult yourself into chaotic circumstances. And then you have to realize that these people put themselves in these circumstances and going to fix their problem rather than let them get to the end result of it. They don't learn their lesson. And you're actually harming them in some cases rather than helping them. And so keeping toxic enablers, that's what I'm trying to say. The permission statement that we allow these people that we know ain't going to change or they're not ready to change, we allow them within our scope right there, right? And it's just like it's a non-stop repetitive trying to fix their problems when you're trying to make progress, and you'll stop what you're doing and gun deck your life progress forward momentum to go fix their problems. And it's like we have to get to a point where it's like enough is enough. Let these people get to where they're going. The people that are drowned in and want to latch onto you and drown you both, push them off. Let them go. Let them drown. When they're ready, resuscitate them. Save them, resuscitate them. But I know so many people that just ruin their friggin' lives by trying to fix problems of the people who created the problem, or at least were at least half. They were at least half culpable for part of the problem. You know, they created the problem within that they're stuck in. So I show up at the front door and I knock on the door, and it's the dude that had them open the door. He was the one who tricked Angelica and T into opening that door. And so when I opened the door, I said, "Hey, is my Uncle Bob here?" And he goes, "Yeah, Bob's in the back." And then he looked and he saw another guy going. He's like, "What the hell?" And he started to walk over there, and I walked into the house. And as soon as he took only a few steps, and that's when he realized, oh shit. He just realized that he did exactly what, but I didn't have a gun. I wasn't there for that. I was there to get him up, right? With the ones and twos. So the other dude comes around the back. He opens the door. That guy comes in. He knows what time it is. He knows exactly what time it is. And so then other people start coming out. He's like, "Hey, this is what it is. What you did was it ain't cutting the mustard. So you need to pack up all your stuff right now, and you got to get on. You got to move. You got to leave right now." And he said, "You know what? And this dude, that's his brother. That's one of his brothers. He wants to fight you." And so he's like, and so he got excited because I don't look like nothing from nothing, you know. Cool. I'm very, I'm just plain as can be, nerdy birdie, SpongeBob SquarePants, and that's the way I prefer it, man. I'd rather be about something than look like something and be about nothing. You know, be that was it somebody said to me, appear to be dangerous or appear weak when you're strong and appear strong when you're weak. And so he was excited because he thought this was going to be something he was going to be able to win. So immediately I start taking off my shirt. We get ready. We go out in the backyard. It's game time. And I mop this dude up. Blip, 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 blip. H. You know, we get it. He got one kick on me. And then, like I said, bounced into the wall. And I guess he was surprised because he hit me with everything he had. And he was just like, "All right, come on, let's get this. Let's get this." And so after that, I let him up, shook hands. Everybody was watching. All the other little knuckleheads that lived inside the house. Bob, the guy that came with me to go in there. And so they were just like, "Hey, this is great. This is the way it should be done. Men should be able to come and not have to shoot each other or stab whatever. Just hit the backyard, get them up on the ones and twos." Then after that, we shook hands. "Now go pack your stuff and get the hell out of here. Don't care where." So he went into his room, and I was there with the untrained professional. And I didn't, it wasn't ideal circumstances in hindsight. Or I realized even as I was there with the untrained professional, the other dude, the one that told him to pack his stuff and go. But it ended up working out that way. So that started to resonate through the neighborhood. What happened? Like, "Hey man, hey, don't go over there and do this. There's somebody looking out for them." And the incident that happened with the dude that sent those guys and they punched in the door, that was all the result of another individual that we all grew up with. We were all friends. And that person, I started realizing over time, he was really good at making his mistakes and his choices look like they were somebody else's. And somebody would always have to pay the piper on behalf of him. And that's why I was like, yeah, you know what? Enough is enough. You know what I mean? Somebody's got to stop this dude. There was a phone call on the answer machine. They had Angelica's dad in the jail and they were going to beat his ass and all this. And these two weren't doing anything. And so again, myself and another individual went somewhere. We made it real clear that we ain't going to let nothing happen to these two people right here. And so as a result of that, things got nasty and things got ugly. And so at that time, that individual that caused all these problems, he was always a respected dude. He was, but he was like not like he was known, respected, loved, and all that stuff. But as a result of what happened over there, he got himself caught up in that mix. That was his own thing. But during the time where he was paying the piper for paying for the consequence, paying the piper for the choices that he made that got him in that circumstance, his strength and influence, it grew. So now that decision having been made back then is you're dealing with somebody that has a lot more influence and power now. And so you have to respect that, So at the time I had to make that decision where, I didn't have a family. So when I did have a family, I still have to keep that shit in my mind. Like, hey, I've gone out there and I've stood up for people, and maybe I probably shouldn't have in hindsight, because like I said, now they're all still buddy friends and shit, and I'm the pariah, whatever. It's all good. But with that, you have to respect certain things, right? And that's just not as easy as it sounds when when you're dealing with these kind of people, right? And so you have to take it seriously. And when you're dealing with other people that don't understand or don't take it seriously, or they can't fathom whether they're not from there, or they just think that bygones can be bygones or whatever, that's complacency. And complacency, unfortunately, is what cost, my brother and many other people that took them. So here we are in this court battle. Right here now. And I'm dealing with all these people that come from this mediocrity on that level. And like I said, I nobody should want to come from that real, true, ugly stuff, the truth. Nobody should want to marinate in that. Nobody should want their good place to be chaotic and just, cutthroat and everything. But unfortunately, some people won't be content with that because they don't understand, because they've never truly sacrificed or lived in that chaotic environment and the sacrifice that comes with it. And so to them, they seek it out. And that's what I'm dealing with over here. So I got these people who don't understand the severity of the past that are trying to impact what's going on in the present. And I'm determined to keep my son away from all that. And my spouse, I started thinking about it. The first decision she made that impacted her sons was she chose David's father, who wants absolutely nothing to do with them. Not now, when he is a 20-something-year-old kid, not for his whole life. Like, that's interesting. So she chose somebody who wanted nothing to do with this child. And that impacted the young man, right? Then the next thing she does, she hooks up with that dude, Leon, who rejects them eventually and kicks them to the curb. But then later on, he gets paralyzed because he wanted to go party and have some fun. Then he latches onto her child. And then she picks Marvin Cheddar Bob Mace to go out and do all that horrible shit and leaves him with that individual that's bitter and salty about the choices that he made. And now he's paralyzed as a result. And she wouldn't take him back when he had rejected her and the boy and kicked them to the curb. So that decision would have harmed that boy. Her decision to take Cheddar Bob Marvin Mace, that impacted because the boy was suffering. He's over there like, hey, where's my mom? And all this other stuff and all the chaos that came from that. So I should have assessed that. I mean, some people have said, hey, you chose this person. You knew that she was screwing your friend. You knew that she was with Marvin Mace. She was screwing your friend, and then she started screwing you. And you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. And I understand there was red flags out there, and I wasn't trying to turn a hoe into a housewife. I was just trying to turn a hoe into a wife, and that was my decision right there. That's my permission statement. But I believe that she really wanted to change. And I believe that she really wanted sobriety and to do the right thing. And that we were building a foundation on that. But like I said, if you keep those same toxic people that were running the gambit, and unfortunately those same toxic people in her life are tethered to the people that I have that conflict based with out of what happened with Lucky and Angelica, like they're tight. Let's call it family, even blood family. So that adds to the complication of that dynamic right there. That it's almost next to impossible to separate it. Then you got a brother, the dropout, that's supposed to be the dropout, but when he gets drunk, all of a sudden he wants to be from his neighborhood. He wants to be the tough guy again. I'm thinking like, wait, hold on, wait. I thought you wanted to change, bro. What? You know, so the people who don't want to change, if you allow them in your life and you've changed, but they don't want to, or you maintain those relationships with those people that just ain't gonna get it, the Jennifers, you know, the people that are still living at home with their mommy, the people that are marrying murderers, doing life in prison, and then looking for an excuse to justify it, the ones that are getting cheated on and want to marry active gang members and do all that stuff. You have to see the similarities in their toxic choices and your own, and why do you have them in your orbit? Why aren't you surrounding yourself with people that are making positive decisions and people that are taking into consideration what could happen to the future of their children if they continue on making those toxic choices? Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I was, but I made a commitment and I followed through with what I said I would do. You know, you can recovery, you can drop the ball, pick it back up, and run with it and everything. It's a lifetime. It's not just, oh, hey, I'm clean and sober and it's done. No. But to continue drinking and getting drunk in front of your child after everything you've been through, and you got one spouse that's in recovery, and you should be taking it serious. If you lost so much as a result of it, there should be no excuses. And so now this individual that I love so much and that's built up in this arena of Napa, with Napa Empowering Women's Services and all the power that they wield and the connections and the influence that they have, they're going to stand by her tooth and nail. But a lot of the people that were the toxic enablers in this conflict right here, they're the ones that were like drinking and like, so I don't know whether to hold them too much to accountable, because they make all those fucked up ass choices. And so they have to know, like, the choices they're making are insane and crazy. And whether they knew she was an alcoholic or whatever, there's no excuse. You don't get somebody drunk because your man cheats on you and you ain't no friend. You ain't no friend if you watch your friend get behind a wheel who came to support you because of your stupid, repetitive choices, and then watch them get behind the wheel of a car. If that person dies, that's partly your fault, man. And now this individual has all these people from Child Welfare Services who have a vested interest. In Napa, there's a good amount of corruption going on here. Just go look at the Walt Ranch scandal on YouTube. So what I'm doing here, it's like, hey, when there's chaotic shit going on, what do people do? They put it out there in the public view, and it should be. If these people hold the public trust, they should be held to accountable. They should be held to a higher standard than just everyday other folks. And instead, they're using the power and the influence. Everywhere I go, I'm running into people that I'm going to show you their pictures of them getting drunk with the respondent in this matter that I'm talking about. And as soon as you start saying, hey, yada yada this, can you help? And they clam up. And instead, it's like they're circling the wagons and they're doing the protection thing, because they'll try to put it out there as some kind of empowerment stuff. But hey, look, man, I'm gonna call it one. Let's call it what it is. You know what I mean? If you call yourself an advocate, but you're calling black people mayates, you know, I'm sitting there listening to this individual who calls themselves an advocate, and they're calling black people mayates. And I'm thinking, so does that mean if somebody's African American and they show up to get help from this agency, you don't help them? Only Latinos or Mexicanos are going to get help? But That's some dude in a prison that has control of this person's mind and or their body, because other people in that orbit were getting cheated on and going back. What does that sound like? That's dick control. That's dick control. That's not empowerment. And that's not to say there aren't empowered women, and empowerment of women is a great thing. But these people are doing anything but empowerment. And so they may feel like they don't have a leg to stand on to tell the respondent in this matter, like, hey, you shouldn't be drinking and driving. You shouldn't be doing this. You've already gone through this chaos. You're turning it around. You're doing great upward mobility. Nah, instead they're like, nah, fuck that. We gonna get it. We gonna get turned up. And so that's not, man. It's not empowerment, man. That's enabling, and it's not the same thing. And so we're gonna keep going through this. I'm gonna show you guys the court paperwork, the chaos, tell y'all the story about how they brought one person. They were trying to separate me from I've never abandoned my son. I've never dumped my son off on somebody else so that I can go fucking sell heroin and meth and shit with that dude. You know what I mean? Like how they responded. I've never done nothing like that. I've been there with my son since day one. I'm the one person who never turned my back on the respondent or my son like these other individuals. But these other people are determined. They came in, they want to play their part in trying to separate. They've already cut half my time. So out of a year, I maybe see my son half the time. But they were trying to go for more than that. They were trying to go for the gusto. So let's get into that. You know what I mean? You guys wanted to play. So let's play. And they step into these arenas and they put their titles and who they are and who they work for out there. But why don't you guys let them see the other side of who you guys really are? You know what I mean? Tell them. Be honest. Who y'all connected to? Because that's usually what happens is these females like this, they'll go start some shit and they got like a gangster brother or gangster cousin, and then they get the dudes all wrapped up into the mix, and then the dudes get into conflict and somebody goes to jail, and then the women are just out there with the next toxic dude. You know, it happens. And when I first went to one of these functions at this place, I looked around and I saw active gang members. I know what it is. And you know, and it's like the bulk of the men in the family either went to prison or active members in gangs. And then go to other functions and you'll see an older generation, and then you'll see a younger generation of men. So you can see they haven't broke the cycle. But they'll try to pass it off as, oh no, we're handing down culture. No, you're not. You're handing down gangster shit, right? And so I already went at it with these other people, and now these people are trying to play both sides of the fence. Like, they want to walk into the courtroom and play the game, but then they also want to play that tough gangster shit. So unfortunately, it is what it is. But let's let the whole tape run and see where it ends up. Because I'm a father, and I'll stand up for my son, and I'll fight for my son, and I'm relentless. And yeah.